Why do they always come back? After breaking you, after you gave them your heart, your peace, your love, why return when you're finally healing? Is it guilt, ego, or the realization of what they lost? Or is it your silence, your strength that draws them back? Today we break down this emotional roller coaster through the eyes of Stoicism, a powerful mindset that turns your pain into power. If you've ever asked yourself, why did he come back after everything? Then stay tuned. This video is for every woman rising from her hurt. Let's get into it because your peace isn't negotiable anymore. 1. Silent strength speaks. In a world that constantly urges women to speak up, explain themselves, or fight for closure, there lies a powerful alternative, a silent, steady form of strength that doesn't need validation or noise. When someone hurts you, especially someone you love, trust, and gave your energy to, the pain is often unbearable. Your mind wants answers. Your heart wants justice. You want them to feel what you felt. But in that chaos, something profound can emerge. Silence. Silence is not weakness. It is wisdom. It is a boundary. It's a space that bridges the pain and the peace. And for women, emotionally exhausted women, this silence becomes louder than any words they could say. It's a quiet revolution of the soul. According to a psychological study conducted on post-breakup behavior, nearly 68% of men admit they felt more impacted when the woman they hurt went silent rather than confrontational. Why? Because that silence forces them to sit with the consequences of their actions without escape. When you stop reacting, when you stop explaining and trying to fix what broke you, you take back your emotional power. Yet a number of women are not aware of this from the start. We are brought up by a society that being strong is about fighting in a loud manner, whereas it is often the case that your real strength is demonstrated by your decision not to become involved in other people's negative behavior. It's your choice not to send that long text, your decision not to react to that "I miss you" message, or in other words, it's your act of self-care, but not pettiness. This is where Stoicism comes in as a spiritual guide. It's the transformation of pain into peace, the practice of response instead of reaction, and the realization that our inner world is far more important than our external behavior. It is all about. Quiet strength is never a passive thing, but a very deliberate one. It conveys a message that I am not explaining myself anymore to people who are unwilling to understand. It gives a signal to the other person that one's peace cannot be shaken by him anymore. But you should not be mistaken, they see. It has been proven that 72% of the emotionally manipulative people are more likely to return when their former partner stops expressing themselves emotionally. It is not because of love, but it is because they lose their control. Your absence will be the most powerful speech to shout down any argument by word of mouth. This silence is their mirror, and for the first time, they see their behavior without your explanations, softening the blow. Now here's the emotional twist. Many women still hope their silence will bring them back, and sometimes it does. They come back with apologies, with promises, with emotional confessions. But here's the truth. They often come back not because they've changed, but because you have. Because the woman they once broke is no longer waiting to be fixed. She's rebuilding quietly, beautifully, intentionally. If this is resonating with you, pause and ask yourself, have you ever experienced that strange moment when the person who hurt you suddenly reappears just when you started feeling whole again? Maybe they started watching your stories, liking your posts, or randomly texting, "Hey, stranger." It's not a coincidence. It's your energy. When you step into silent strength, you disrupt their comfort. You're no longer the emotionally available source they once had easy access to. And that's when the tables turn. That's when they regret. According to recent relationship psychology findings, over 60% of people who return to a former partner do so not because they're genuinely ready to love, but because they're confused by your distance. They wonder, how is she not broken anymore? Has she replaced me? Why isn't she chasing me? The silence becomes unbearable for them because it forces them to face what they've done and what they've lost. And this is where you need to stand your ground. Silent strength isn't just about making them regret, it's about rebuilding you. It's about choosing yourself without needing anyone to understand why. It's about embracing solitude not as loneliness, but as a space of healing. When you choose peace over panic, when you invest in your growth instead of their validation, you become unshakable. You no longer react, you reflect. You no longer beg, you blossom. So next time someone asks, why do they come back after hurting me? Remember this, it's not the chase, it's not the fight, it's not even the forgiveness that pulls them back. It's the silence. It's the transformation they never expected. It's seeing the version of you they couldn't break. And sometimes it's not even about them. It's the universe showing you that your silence spoke the truth they could never hear. If you've ever gone silent and experienced this powerful shift, where your peace became your loudest statement, share your story in the comments below. Your experience could empower another woman walking through her storm. And if this message touched your heart, gave you strength, or reminded you of your worth, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs this reminder today. Because your silence is not empty, it's sacred, and it speaks volumes. Next, we will discuss an important idea, the power of detachment. 2. Power of detachment. Detachment. It sounds cold to some, but to a woman who has been broken, ignored, or manipulated, detachment is not an escape. It's a return to self. In Stoicism, detachment is not about shutting down your heart. It's about not allowing others to control it anymore. And when someone who hurt you sees you thriving, glowing, and walking forward without looking back, that's when they come back. Not always because they love you, but because you're no longer accessible, no longer controllable. Let's be real. When someone hurts you, especially someone you love deeply, your first instinct might be to ask why or try to fix it. That's human. But over time, chasing closure only deepens the wound. And here's where detachment becomes your medicine. It teaches you, you are not responsible for someone else's choices, only your reactions. Research shows that over 72% of people who emotionally pull away from toxic or one-sided relationships experience a power shift. Why? Because energy doesn't lie. When you detach emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, the other person feels it, even if you never say a word. They sense your peace, your absence, your boundaries. And that's often when they return, curious, confused, or desperate to reclaim what they once took for granted. But why does this happen? Because detachment creates mystery. You're no longer giving them the emotional responses they were used to. You've stopped feeding their ego. You've stopped playing the emotional tug-of-war, and now you're simply free. When you remove yourself as a source of validation, the person who hurt you begins to feel the silence. And in that silence, they start to realize your value. This is the essence of Stoicism, understanding that you cannot control other people, only how you respond to them. You don't beg, you don't prove your worth, you show it by stepping away. You practice radical acceptance. You stop expecting closure. You learn to hold space for yourself instead of hoping they'll fill it. A survey on emotional resilience found that 58% of women who began practicing Stoic principles, acceptance, emotional discipline, internal peace, reported increased self-worth and emotional control within just 60 days. That's powerful. You may wonder, but what if I still love them? Love doesn't disappear overnight, but detachment doesn't mean you stop loving. It means you stop betraying yourself in the name of love. It means choosing yourself even when your heart wants to choose them. And here's the ironic truth. They often return right when you've stopped hoping they will. They feel the energetic shift. You're no longer reacting to their texts, no longer watching their stories, no longer crying over someone who was never ready. That absence becomes louder than your presence ever was. But that doesn't mean you should take them back. Detachment also gives you the space to evaluate, not just feel. You begin to see the red flags you ignored, the nights you cried yourself to sleep, the times you accepted less than what you deserved. And suddenly, their return isn't flattering. It's a reminder of how far you've come. People return for many reasons: guilt, nostalgia, ego, loneliness. But not all reasons are rooted in genuine change. Sometimes they miss the control. Sometimes they miss how you made them feel. not who you are. Detachment helps you recognize the difference. Ask yourself, do I want them back? Or do I want the version of them I created in my mind? Let that question sink in. One of the most beautiful things about Stoic detachment is that it puts the power back in your hands. It teaches you not to depend on others for peace, happiness, or closure. Because the truth is, closure is a lie we tell ourselves to keep the connection alive. The real closure? It's in your healing, your silence, your boundaries. That's the closure they never expected, and that's what makes them come back. But by then, you're no longer the same woman. You've evolved, you've cried, you've journaled, you've prayed, you've leveled up emotionally. You've reconnected with your friends, your passions, and your goals. You've turned pain into purpose, and now they no longer have access to the version of you they once heard. That's the true power of detachment. It gives you back to yourself. If you're watching this and wondering how to start detaching, here's a simple truth. It begins with awareness. Start noticing when you're reacting emotionally, when you're chasing, when you're waiting for a reply, when your peace depends on someone else's validation. Catch it. Then pause, breathe. Ask yourself, what would my highest self do in this moment? She wouldn't beg. She wouldn't chase. She wouldn't collapse. She would observe, accept, detach. And if anyone has a question about this, like how to deal with the urge to text back, or what to do when they suddenly come knocking again, drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk about it. Let's grow together. If this message touched your heart or helped you feel more seen, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to this channel. Your support helps this space reach more women who are rising, healing, and finding their strength through stoicism and self-love. You are not too much. You are not replaceable. And your silence speaks louder than 1,000 words. This is your journey back to you. Stay strong, stay detached, and stay powerful. Next, we will discuss an important reality that many women overlook in the healing process: return of regret. 3. Return of regret. When someone who once hurt you comes back, it's not always because they love you or have changed. It's often because they regret losing the version of you they took for granted. This is a psychological truth, not just emotional storytelling. Studies in behavioral psychology reveal that over 63% of individuals who end a relationship later experience some level of regret, especially when the person they left behind shows signs of growth, peace, and independence. That regret is rarely about love. It's about loss of control, loss of access, and loss of comfort. When you were available, vulnerable, and emotionally invested, they may have thought they could leave and return anytime. But when you step into silence, stop explaining, and begin focusing on your healing, that's when regret hits you like a wave. This return of regret happens when they see you glowing without them. When you're not begging for closure, when your energy shifts inward, when your smile no longer hides pain but reflects healing, they realize you've become what they couldn't be for you: your peace. According to modern relationship dynamics, nearly 48% of people reconnect with their exes not because they want to rebuild the relationship, but because they want to test if the door is still open. In other words, they want to see if they still hold emotional power over you. It's ego, not affection. It's guilt masked as concern. And sadly, many women mistake this return for love when it's simply discomfort on their part. Let's ask the deeper question. Do they miss you, or do they miss the version of themselves they could be when they had your love? There's a difference, a big one. Regret doesn't always bring accountability. Most of the time, it brings manipulation cloaked in sweet apologies and half-truths. You hear things like, "I miss you," "I've changed," "I was confused." But ask yourself, where were these words when you were crying alone? When you were broken, confused, begging for clarity? True change takes time, effort, and action, not just regret. Stoicism reminds us that we cannot control others, only our response. So when they come back, it is your responsibility to remain centered, logical, and rooted in your truth. In a survey on post-breakup behavior, over 51% of women reported being contacted by an ex within 3 to 6 months, and 39% of those women admitted to being emotionally triggered by that contact. Why? Because as women, we often attach meaning to return. We think it signifies growth, realization, or that their heart finally aligned with ours. But in reality, many of these returns are temporary comfort zones for people who never truly appreciated you to begin with. They want to peek into your healing, not participate in it. Return of regret is powerful because it's not about you being wrong. It's about you being right. You were valuable all along. You were the calm that they didn't know how to handle. The softness they thought was weakness. The loyalty they assumed would always be there. But when you choose silence, when you choose peace, when you choose you, that's when their illusion shatters. That's when regret came home to them. And now their return isn't a compliment. It's a confirmation that they lost something rare, and you, my dear, are not an option to come back to when it's convenient. You are a lesson they will carry forward. So what should you do when they come back? Do nothing. Let your silence speak. Let your boundaries protect you. Let your growth remind you of who you've become. Remember, Stoicism isn't about suppressing your emotions. It's about channeling them wisely, using logic to guide your responses. When they come back, it's not your job to prove how much you've grown. Your peace will say it all. Your calm energy will make noise they can't ignore. And your refusal to entertain empty regret, that will speak louder than any text, call, or apology. The return of regret is a sign, but not for you to go back. It's a sign that walking away was the right move, that your healing worked, that your power is no longer tied to their presence. If they truly changed, they would come back with consistency, not confusion. With actions, not apologies. With patience, not pressure. If you're going through this, or if this spoke to your heart, share your story in the comments. You never know who you might inspire. And if you believe your healing matters more than someone else's regret, hit like and subscribe for more real conversations rooted in Stoicism, healing, and feminine strength. You don't owe closure to those who open wounds. You owe yourself peace. Let them regret. You rise. In the journey of emotional healing, the three core ideas we explored, silent strength speaks, power of detachment, and return of regret, hold deep meaning for every woman rising from heartbreak. Your silence isn't weakness. It's your transformation speaking louder than words. When you choose not to react, when you detach emotionally, and when you protect your energy, you become untouchable. That's where true power lives.